So what we're going to do now, we're going to talk about, we're just going to go straight because there's a lot of things that Reuben talks about. He previously talked about the spirits that befall young men that cause them to sexually sin, which leads them to do many other horrible sins in the physical reality. We're going to skip all that. Hey, what's going on, man? Okay. So sweet. I love them, man. Kids, so innocent, man. I love them. I love them. All right, we're going to continue. We're just going to go straight to the nitty gritty. Reuben says, pay no heed, therefore, to the beauty of women, and muse not upon their doings, but walk in singleness of heart in the fear of the Lord, and be laboring in works and roaming in study and among your flocks until the Lord give you a wife whom he will, that ye suffer not as I did. Right? Remember, this is all context. You know, if you're not necessarily looking for a wife, then this won't happen to you. If you are, remember, the Lord sort of peers, and the Almighty peers into the desires, the deepest desires of your mind and of your heart, right? So you'll get what you desire if it's in line with what the Lord wants. Until my father's death, I had not boldness to look steadfastly into the face of Jacob, which is his father's name, Israel, or to speak to any of my brethren because of my reproach. And even until now, my conscience afflicteth me by reason of my sin. And my father comforted me, for he prayed for me unto the Lord, that the anger of the Lord might pass away from me, even as the Lord showed me. From henceforth then I was protected and sinned not. Therefore, my children, observe all things whatsoever I command you, and ye shall not sin. Right? For fornication is the destruction of the soul, separating it from God and bringing it near to idols, because it deceiveth the mind and understanding, and bringeth down young men into hell before their time. For many hath fornication destroyed, because though a man may be old or noble, it maketh him a reproach and a laughing stock with Beliar and the sons of men. He said it straight. We already know what's going on what passes when you start the sin of fornication less lavishly, freely, liberatingly, right? Liberally. You start to fall into contention with the sons of men. You start to fall into sin. It's how I explained it. Of course, I say this all the time in my video describing semen retention and the penalty of fornication. You are mixing auric fields. You are mixing souls. You are mixing experiences of the both souls that are involved. And because of that, you are taking on karmic debt. And that karmic debt will have to shape itself in your reality in order to be triumphed, because the karmic debt is karma that has not been confronted yet. A balance is not restored until that karma is seen and dealt with. It will be in imbalance, and it'll have to present itself one way or another, which is why you do not want to fall into the sin of fornication in order to accidentally take on these problems. Let's continue. For in that Joseph kept himself from every woman and purged his thoughts from all fornication, he found favor before the Lord and men. He's talking about Joseph, one of his brothers, that they left. I think it was either Joseph or Benjamin, right? That they left in Egypt. But they're talking about one of his brothers that did not commit the sin of fornication, and how he was protected by the Lord, because this is just the natural result. You are in your own power. You are drinking of your own cistern, as King Solomon says in Proverbs, and you are staying within your own aura field, and you're dealing with your own karmic debt. For the Egyptian woman, and so it is Joseph. Joseph was the one that was in Egypt, that was left behind by his brothers, and he found favor with the people of Egypt because he stayed steadfast in worship of the Lord and did not commit the sin of fornication. For the Egyptian woman did many things unto him, and called for magicians, and offered him love potions, and the purpose of his soul admitted no evil desire. Therefore the God of my fathers delivered him from every visible and hidden death. Guys, this is old writing, and look how they're talking about the science behind fornication. Not only he talks about the problems of visible death, right? Visible death, which is getting old before your time. You are, as we know, with the penalties of getting off the practice of semen retention, you are losing bone marrow. You're building up gray matter in your brain. Your eyes are becoming more and more dull. Everything negative physically that you can imagine will happen when you're off the practice of semen retention. And even more, that will lead you to your physical death. And the hidden death refers to the death of the light of the soul, the light of the spirit inside each and every one of us when we continuously sexually sin. Look how he's talking about this stuff. For if fornication overcome not the mind, neither shall Beliar overcome you, because it is the worst of sins. Hurtful are women, my children, because since they have no power, I'm not making this up. I am not making this up. This is all written by Reuben himself. Because they have no power or strength over the man, they act subtly through outward guise, how they may draw him to themselves. And whom they cannot overcome by strength, him they overcome by craft. And when we're talking about craft, we're not talking about arts and crafts. We're not talking about drawing. We're not talking about crafting the blueprints for a building as an architect would do. No, we are talking about witchcraft, magic, geomancy, divination, things that are throwing stones aside and lighting candles and drawing pentagrams on the ground in order to try to thwart the direction of the will of the Almighty. This is what essentially witchcraft is. And they will try to do that when the people of this world, women, will try to do that when you are not falling victim to their wiles, when they cannot be overcome by their sexual, alluringness or allure. Right? For moreover, the angel of God told me concerning them and taught me that women are overcome by the spirit of fornication more than men, right? And they devise in their heart against men. And by means of their adornment, they deceive first their minds and instill the poison by the glance of their eye. And then they take them captive by their doings. For a woman cannot overcome a man by force. Naturally, because the physical differences between the sexes are completely vast. The man is completely much stronger than the woman. The average man is stronger than the average woman. This is a fact. No matter what this modern world will try to tell you, this is just a fact. But because women understand this and intuitively, they try other things, which is the adornment of clothes. You know how the harlot dressed in the Proverbs chapter that I described a little while ago, trying to tempt the young man in order to withdraw from him his life force through the force of sexual union. They try to alluringly stare at men in order to sort of capture their attention, which is energy, concentrated energy, and sway them to ultimately commit the act of sexual sin to withdraw their life force. This is just natural. This is just what happens. Therefore, Reuben talks again, flee fornication, my children, and command your wives and your daughters that they adorn not their heads and their faces, because every woman who acteth deceitfully in these things hath been reserved to everlasting punishment. For thus, listen to this, now they're getting even deeper. For thus they allured the watchers before the flood. And as these continually beheld them, they fell into desire each of the other, and they conceived the act in their mind and changed themselves into the shape of men and appeared to them in their congress with their husbands and their women, having in their minds desire toward their apparitions. Gave birth to giants, for the watchers appeared to them as reaching even unto heaven. So do you know what he's talking about right here? Reuben, this is what happens when you're not sexually sinning. You are actually able to understand what is going on. Truly, you almost as if you have like this bird's eye view, this eagle-like vision on everything that is happening within your space and just in the world. He's talking about not only women are sort of dress themselves in order to, like in this time as well as back in the day, not only they dress themselves to be incredibly alluring, they were doing that so much that they even allured the watchers. When they refer to the watchers, they're talking about the army of angels that rebelled against God, led by Shemyaza, which is the leader of the watchers, of course. And they turned themselves into men in order to commit sexual sin with women. Imagine being an angel. You are at you're at a peak of understanding and enlightenment, right? And you choose to descend through sexual. I don't get it. So not only the Israelites and human beings are prone to commit sins, the angels of the above, the worlds above, are committing sins as well. Why? Especially angels, they're closest to God. They understand so much. That's how alluring and how tempting the things of this physical reality is. Let's check it out. Beware, therefore, of fornication, and if you wish to be pure in your mind, guard your senses against every woman, and command them likewise not to company with men, that they also be pure in their mind. For constant meetings, even though the ungodly deed be not wrought, are to them an irremediable disease, and to us an everlasting reproach of Beliar. For fornication hath neither understanding nor godliness in itself, and all jealousy dwelleth in the desire thereof. Let's get a little deeper. In a lot of societies and a lot of not first world, even first world is laden here. God forbid you're a man that on semen retention, you have a lot of energy, and you look at someone else's girlfriend when the couple is walking down the street. The man is like inflicted with all this jealousy because it's just, why is it that you're looking at my woman? Even though technically she exists in this reality. So inevitably she'll get looked at because people have the eyes to perceive physical objects in this physical reality. That's just the long, the tall, and the short. But because you are fornicating, you are bonding your spirit with the other individual. And so there is a covetousness of that individual that begins as a seedling that starts to grow the more you fornicate with this other individual. This is just the reality of the metaphysics behind sexual union. The reason why third world societies are not successful or not financially, economically successful is, okay, partly due to the reason, of course, the efforts, the strong overtime efforts of first world societies, keeping them under due to tariffs, a lot of taxes on their goods, a lot of restrictions and regulations on corporations residing within the first world society from doing business with the third world countries and their corporations. But also a lot of third world countries worship this spirit or have the spirit of fornication in them. They commit this act consistently, and they tend to not think long term about things because they don't have that vision due to the light in their souls being gone. It's just a reality. Seriously, visit any third world country and you'll understand. Of course, you being on semen retention and just having vision. Therefore, ye will be jealous against the sons of Levi and will seek to be exalted over them, but ye shall not be able, for God will work their avenging, and ye shall die by an evil death. For to Levi the Lord gave the sovereignty, and to Judah, and to me also with them, and to Dan and Joseph, that we should be for rulers. Therefore I command you to hearken to Levi. Remember, if you guys read the Bible, we already know that Levi, the tribe of Levi, which are the descendants of the sons of Levi, they're meant to be prophets. They're meant to be the ones that are directly blessed by God himself. So if any man that sort of turns on or tries to attack the sons of Levi because of the offerings that they have been made, they made in the past through Aaron, through Moses, Jesus was also part of the tribe of Levi. The Almighty will strike them down. It's just natural. And this is what Reuben is saying. Do not try to start contention with your brothers, ultimately. And to Dan and Joseph, that we should be for rulers. Therefore, I command you to hearken to Levi, because he shall know the law of the Lord, and shall give ordinances for judgment and sacrifice for all Israel until the completion of the times of Christ, the high priest whom the Lord hath declared. After that, Reuben had died and given command to his sons, and they placed him in a coffin, and they buried him where his forefathers were. So what have we learned from the firstborn son of Jacob, Israel, right? That's committed one of the ultimate sexual sins in the Bible, sleeping with his father's wife, right? What have we learned from his words today? Not only we have learned about the sequence and the order of spirits that one goes through when living in this physical reality in order to adapt and to wax, right, in this physical reality, but we also learned that sexual sin is such a tempting and such a powerful force of evil that it even tempted angels to descend, to lower their vibration, to separate themselves from God. Imagine being so smart, imagine being so intelligent, so enlightened, and you decide to behold the forms of woman of the physical reality. You separate yourselves from God, you lower your vibration, you destroy your understanding, you transform into a human being just to sleep with women. Can you imagine? It takes so long to ascend in reality, and just in eternity. In reality, you can be on semen retention as a male for years, right? You could be on semen retention for your entire life. And then you have probably worked in good favor of the Almighty. but you will probably be reincarnated in another life, which is just as this one, and you just moved like a small fraction of an increment. And imagine, to become an angel, you have to go through those cycles over and over and over and over and over again, being in good favor of the Almighty in every single incarnation, just to fall all the way down in one fell swoop. If there's one thing that I want you guys to take from this video, is that do not fall into the temptation, the physical temptations of this world. This world is very tempting. They will try many, many things in order to ensnare your attention, ensnare your soul. As I always say, and as the Bible says, as the Tripitaka says, Buddha's text, what the catalyst to the horrors and the sins of the world, thievery, lying, deception, the concealing of information, wrath, envy, all of those things come from sexual sin. If you do not commit sexual sin, the lords of evil, the demons that Solomon knew about from, if you read the Lesser Key of Solomon, these guys cannot hurt you. They cannot touch you if you do not commit sin sexually. That is the long, the tall, the short of it. And if you do not believe me, go on semen retention for a long period of time. Do not peek. Do not think about anything licentious. Do not have any sexual unions with any woman, and trust me, in 3 months you will understand the truths that are being talked about in the Bible. And of course, with this today, the Testament of Reuben. And with that being said, that is all I have to say today. If you like that kind of content, like, comment, subscribe. We have more of this coming. I am not going to be biased. We have different religious texts that we're going to analyze within the realm of semen retention coming soon. So please stick with me. Don't ever let this place get you down. The only way that the evil forces and the demonic beings and the people, the magicians and witches in high places can touch you and harm you is if you commit sexual sin in this reality. When you do, you are opening yourself up to all of the horrors and grotesque things of this world. And stay radiant. I'll see you guys in the next one.